Right.
Good evening. It's 6:30, so I will call to order the general meeting of the Board of the Trustees for the Sandwich Public Library District. Today is Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, and it's 6:30 p.m. as I said. We'll begin with a roll call. Jen?
Here.
Heather?
Here.
Jane?
Here.
Julie?
Here.
Matthew, I'm here. And Barb?
Here.
Our director is here. Wonderful. Any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to our next item, which is the induction of our new board member, Amy Hamilton. So Amy, I'll have you stand at the podium and you can repeat after me. And then after that, you may be seated up here at the board. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Illinois,
of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of library trustee
the duties of library trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Thank you. You may be seated with the board. You can collect your things and join us.
Congratulations, Amy.
Amen. We'll give her a moment, and then next on our agenda will be public comment. One moment, Elsie. I have a few things to say before we begin. Thank you. A few guidelines. All remarks should be addressed to the whole board rather than to any individual trustee. Neither the board nor the director is expected to respond. This is your time to speak. To promote decorum and mutual respect, members of the public are expected to refrain from displays of approval or disapproval, such as applause or laughter, when a speaker is addressing the board. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. A trustee of the board, this evening Jen will fill that role. A trustee of the board will keep time. Please wait for her signal to begin. It's the responsibility of the board representative alone to notify a speaker when their time has expired. If the speaker does not give back the floor to the board, the chair will remind them that they are out of order. It's also out of order for other members of the public to call for the speaker to stop. Please refrain from speaking before, during, or after someone else's public comment and allow the chair to moderate. The chair retains the right to stop any speaker who uses profanity or abusive language during public comment. If the speaker has a request of the board, this should be made within the allotted 3 minutes. So we do ask that once you hear the bell and the signal from our trustee, that you refrain from going on any further, because we all have 3 minutes to speak. All right, first we will have Elsie.
Well, I'm glad to be here again tonight. Several months ago, I told you about an idea I had called Reading in Public. Tell us what happened. And I wanted to tell you that I was on an airplane just a few weeks ago when I was sitting waiting for the plane to get out, reading my book. And a gentleman came up and asked me about what I was reading. And we had the most delightful conversation. He was reading a book too. And I was familiar with that author. And it was a really fine engagement for about 10 minutes as we waited for our plane to board. And then I thought, well, that was just a fluke. But I went over to McDonald's just last week and I started reading my book in the room where all the people and the toys and all that is. And somebody came up to me and they said, "Hey, what you reading?" And I had to stop and tell them a little bit about my book. And I thought, this is a really viable activity that maybe the library could take up sometime as part of summer reading or something else that you can engage. Read in public, tell us what happened. So I just did. And I noticed that you were talking about the Olympics and how proud we all are of America. And the we're proud of all the people and all their accomplishments, but we're focused really on our own country and our own country's contributions. And what the man skater can do, a backflip at 4 rotations, and we are really part of his success. We feel some bonding, and we feel we're part of that success. And so I think that tonight especially, we should start the library board with our bonding of our country and our pride of our country. And so if you would like to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is William.
Go ahead, William.
Good evening, President, trustees. For over a year now, there's been this recurring civic dilemma. Residents want the Pledge of Allegiance on the agenda, and the board has chosen not to add it. I won't relitigate the whole thing tonight. This library has an impressive enough collection, a very long-running series already. Instead, I'd like to offer a compromise to preserve a unifying tradition while not turning a public meeting into a monthly referendum on patriotism. So what if rather than the pledge, we were to open with the national anthem? It's familiar, it's nonpartisan, there's no debates as to which version to use, and it's also wonderfully sportsmanlike. It signals we're all on the same team, and then we can get down to the very non-sportsmanlike business of budgets, policies, and whether the printers will work tomorrow. So in the spirit of civic cooperation and as a small pilot program, I'm happy to demonstrate an opening anthem tonight. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you, and let the games begin.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on now to consent agenda. And so would I have a motion to approve the consent agenda this evening? Inside of consent agenda is the treasurer's report and bills, the library account listing, the minutes approval from the policy committee meeting of December 8th, 2025, the policy committee meeting January 12th, 2026, the general meeting of the library board of trustees, January 13, 2026, the department reports, January 2026, including adult services, youth services, marketing outreach, and the statistics for January 2026.
I'll move.
Thank you. Anything to remove from consent agenda this evening?
I'd like to move the policy committee meeting December 8th, 2025, please.
Okay. Anything else to move out of consent agenda?
We need to change the year on the
So,
January policy.
January,
For the general meeting.
the general meeting or policy?
I thought it was policy.
The general meeting says 2025.
Oh, okay, never mind, the other one.
Can I just change it on the?
Are we sure that that's the right one we need to take out?
Policy. The policy, January 12th. Right.
Okay, let's just take all of our minutes out. All of our minutes. And then, and we'll just do those each separately. Okay. We have a motion before us to approve what remains in consent agenda. Roll call, Jen,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Matthew, I say aye. Okay, so then, policy committee meeting, December 8th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve that report?
I move.
Thank you, Jen. Any discussion?
I noticed that on those minutes, we didn't have a submitted by. So that was just missing on this,
Okay,
On the December one?
on the December one, yes.
so you'd like to amend you're making a motion to amend the minutes to say submitted by
Whoever submitted them.
who submitted?
That would be me.
Jane Wolf.
Mhm.
All those in
Aye.
favor of that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Barb, can you change those? Okay.
okay, anything else to discuss about those?
No.
Okay, all those I'm gonna do roll call just to be safe here. So this is a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Jen,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Matthew, I say aye. Am I going too fast, Amy? Julie,
No,
sorry.
I'm good.
Okay, we'll move to policy committee meeting, January 12th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
I move.
Thank you. Any discussion?
We just need to change the date to 2026.
Okay. So on those minutes themselves, it should read January 12th, 2026. All those in favor of that amendment, say aye.
May I ask a question?
Yeah,
Is it on the minutes or is it on this agenda currently?
Minutes.
Okay.
the minutes.
Because on this agenda currently, in number VC3, it does say January 13th, 2025.
It does.
Mhm.
Can we talk about that right now?
No, we're talking about
Okay.
policy committee, January 12th, 2026.
So.
Yeah,
January's.
you're okay.
All three of them had dates.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to change to 2025
Yes.
in January.
Yes. All those in favor of amending the policy committee meetings from January 12th, 2026 to reflect the correct date, say aye. Aye. Any more discussion on those? Roll call to approve the minutes as amended. Jen,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Matthew, I say aye. Now we'll move to the general meeting of the Library Board of Trustees, January 13th, 2026. And do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll move.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Are those correct in the minutes? Does anyone have them open?
The January 3rd, the general board meeting?
Yep.
It is correct.
Okay, it's correct. So any other discussion?
The only thing is the date on the agenda is incorrect.
Today's agenda.
Yes. Yeah, today's agenda.
Yep, so we'll change that, we don't need to
No, that,
do anything. That's
as
fine.
long as we,
The minutes are correct. Okay, roll call to approve those minutes. Jen,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Amy, Matthew, I say aye. We did it. Okay, no old business. So we're gonna move right to our director's report,
Yes.
and Barb will talk us through these items.
So unfortunately, we had a resignation. Logan will no longer be working with us. His last day was the 5th. It was a very, bittersweet parting. It wasn't about wanting to leave the library. His life is just taking him in a different direction, and he was ready to explore new things. So we're gonna miss him a lot, but we wish him well in his new endeavors, and we will be looking to replace his position very soon. So,
Thank you.
yeah, if you think of it, send him a little note and
And say good luck on your next chapter.
yeah, perfect. Yes. We'll miss you, Logan, if you're watching.
That's what he's doing.
Right, yeah, that's what he's doing. Next is per capita, just a note to share that the grant was submitted successfully and my plan of how to use those funds next year is going to be in painting the exterior building. And if there's money left over from that, to update our landscaping, because we have some dead bushes that were never replaced. We have some open spots, and just to like have somebody come in to really clean up some of those empty spaces. And that's it for per capita plans. I think that will eat up the money. We usually get around $11,000 and $11,400. So
Yeah.
that's what we'll use it for next year. Any questions?
Nope.
All right. Another note that our annual in-service should be coming up. I am in the midst of planning it. We usually have it towards the end of March. This is the day that we will close the library for in-service, to which I'll have the date prepared at the March meeting. And it's a day of annual training, which we cover sexual harassment training, usually like fire and tornado drill training. This year we'll cover the emergency action guide in more depth. And then afterwards we do a fun, then we have lunch, and then afterwards we have a fun team building activity, of which I've had more people come up with ideas of things that they'd like to do. So I'm excited for it. And I also would like to present an idea that was brought to me from staff that I thought was wonderful. And this would be more thoroughly discussed in a personnel meeting, but I wanted to bring it to the whole board's attention in case you had comments or questions or wanted to weigh in. It has been requested to maybe add a second in-service day in the year and do a fall retreat and have that one be focused more on like going out somewhere for a full day of team building. So maybe like rent the bus from the park district and go to the field museum, and as a team go on a retreat. So it's like just spending time together as a team. And then the in-service in March, instead of adding team building there, would be all formal training instead. So that was an idea brought to me from staff that I really loved. It kind of brought a lot of joy to my heart, knowing that they wanted to spend like leisurely time together to get to know each other a little bit better as a team. And a lot of corporations offer retreats. So I was thinking, why not the library? So it's an idea that I would love to explore further with the board to see if it's even possible in terms of budget, in terms of time, in terms of whether we want to close the library for the day. There are a lot of things to consider, and I'm open to any and all possibilities for that. So I would like to form another personnel meeting, even though we have one that we just scheduled today coming up. But I just wanted to put it in all of your minds, plant that seed, and ask that you think about it. And if you have any ideas or comments to share with me.
Barb, last year, I can't remember if in-service was during spring break at the end of the month, at the end of March. I know that's always the last week in March, and I didn't know if that was something that was a good thing to have an in-service when schools were out on spring break. Do we get more foot traffic during spring break? Is that the best week to have an in-service? I just remember in my mind thinking last year that it was during spring break, and just wondering, what kind of foot traffic we get during spring break.
If it was unintentional to be planned during spring break.
Because I know the last week in March is set as spring break for Sandwich for sure.
Okay.
It always is.
Okay.
And has been. So just a thought. Your staff would know what kind of activity was in the library during spring break. So, if there was a way to, avoid it, unless spring break is a quiet time, I really don't know. You guys know that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I can look back and compare some stats for the day and see how that compares. But we could just avoid it altogether and plan it for the week before or the first week of April, whichever would work.
Okay.
So one of my plans too for that day is to do the Narcan training as well. We have a representative from DeKalb County Health Department who is working with me to schedule the time and date to come down to do an in-person training. on how to administer it properly, and they are going to be our resource to provide us with the medicine, since as law, not technically districts yet. We are not under that law yet, but there has been some legal like fog surrounding where districts play within that law. So it's generally understood that all libraries in Illinois are supposed to be following this law, but according to the legalese, districts were not included. That's according to Ansel Glink and according to a couple other lawyer blogs that I get sent. They believe that there's going to be an amendment made that will include districts. So I want our situation to be completely prepared and ready for when that happens. However, I don't want to fully initiate it until that law goes into place, because you could run into potential legal issues because we wouldn't be covered. So handling it very carefully. I want my staff to be trained. I want to have the medicine on hand. I'm going to keep in contact with our lawyers to make sure when the amendment's going to be made and figure out the plan moving forward. But yeah, so there will be sexual harassment, the drills, emergency action guide, and the Narcan training for staff that are in service this year. Any other questions?
Nope.
Perfect. All right, next is early voting. We are very excited to have another early voting session for the March election. I did send an email out to everybody, and I believe we will have the day covered, the Sunday covered from board members volunteering. So thank you to anybody who reached out and offered their time. I sincerely appreciate it. And before we move forward with the early voting, I will reach out to the people that will be covering that Sunday and make sure you are completely prepared on what to do, how to open the building, what to expect, and how the day will run. Any questions? Okay, perfect. Next, every year we have to fill out an annual library certification form with our consortiums, and that was completed in March. And I got the note from our county for the statements of economic interest that those are coming out. So I want all board members to be prepared and ready for those. If you need a refresher on how to fill that out, let me know, because I can send you the webinar that had the best information to assist in how to fill that out properly. It's kind of scary, but it won't be once you watch that webinar. And if there's no other questions, I think that's all I got.
Quick question on I saw step ladders out or ladders out. Did they fix the lights?
They did.
Yeah, I thought
yes.
I saw that.
They
I
came last week.
figured that was happening. So.
Yes.
So they should be all aglow.
They should be. They better be.
All right.
We'll be able to tell tonight.
That's true.
All right, that'll take us to our new business, and we'll start with cold temperature closings. Jen has requested this to be on the agenda, so I'm going to let her share her thoughts and questions.
I requested to have the cold weather closure. What was the date of that? I don't know, a couple weeks ago. Not because I'm challenging the decision or looking for any additional justification. Barb consulted with Matthew, and that's exactly what should have happened. And I know whether decisions are difficult here in Illinois. In the summer, we get 100-degree weather for a week, and inevitably we get a stretch of sub-zero temperatures. So I appreciate the difficulty in that. The closure, however, did raise some questions for me. And so I appreciate the opportunity just to bring it here and to be able to have a discussion. Hopefully we're out of the woods for this season and it won't be a concern. You know, it's 50 degrees today. But just to have some clarity moving forward. And so I'll share my questions. If there's discussion that comes from it, great. And if not, that's fine too. I'll feel heard. So first, the library is a designated warming center. That's on our website. And so really the question there is, what does it mean to be a warming center? And how does this impact our decision to close or not to close in cold or warm weather? And I'll mention that at the time, I had looked on an Illinois listing and the DeKalb County listing for warming centers here in DeKalb County. Ours did not show up, which then raised the question, well, are we a warming center or not? I looked today and it's been updated as of February 2nd, so that's a good thing. So the definition of the warming center and how that plays into it, that was the first question that came up for me. Also, the emergency action guide, the new one that we've seen recently, states that for extreme cold temperatures, the library will be open with precautions. And the response listed there was that the actions are to monitor heating systems and provide warming areas. Underneath that, however, it says additional consideration says that employees should not be required to travel in unsafe conditions. So I just wasn't sure, were we following our emergency action guide? And then what qualifies as unsafe? That is, are cold conditions the same, pose the same dangers as snow and sleet? There were other libraries in our area that were open that day. Plano and Somonauk were open. In fact, Somonauk offered, hey, school is closed, come in for a movie day. And now Barb did say other libraries had chosen to close, but these were the closest libraries in our area. So the question there for me was, our emergency action guide said one thing, but then had some qualifications, and how are we defining those and interpreting those? And then finally, the primary reason given for the closure was that some of the staff had longer commutes. And I just want to be really cautious here, because does that imply in any way that if the staff on duty that day were all local, would the library have been open? In which case, are we edging up toward disparate treatment? Is that coming into what are our hiring practices with the distance of where staff might be? It just seemed a little sticky with that being our justification for closing. And I'd like to hear more about what is a longer commute and how does that impact the decision? Is that something that could be defined based on an individual rather than closing the whole library? Just curious about that. And is that creating any discrepancy in how we might make that decision? So here's all my questions. If there are any specific topics,
Okay, so let me ask this. You could either, if you want to have discussion here and now, you can take us through those one by one and
Okay.
break it down and let us discuss each one at a time. It could also bounce to personnel committee, or you could just set up a time with Barb to talk through all these things. What do you want out of the
well,
conversation?
if other board members who want to weigh in or have questions, similar questions, or I mean, if this is just me, then I'll go talk to Barb and have those questions answered. But if there are others who wish to participate or weigh in, I'm happy to do it here.
I see Heather wanting to speak, I think.
I called Matthew and
Mhm.
asked him why we were closed if we were a warming station, so I had kind of the same question that you did, so. But I don't know I think we need time to think about it and
To think
Look-
about what?
her questions,
Oh, okay, yeah.
instead of discussing it outright. Like, I would like to know the definition of a warming station, I think that's a great place to start.
I would agree with that
Mhm.
entirely, because just upon our conversation, Jen, when you originally asked me about this, my interpretation of a warming center was different from other people's interpretations. So I think that first and foremost should be looked at and figured out to have an agreed upon definition of what that means in terms of our library and what it means to be a warming center for the state.
Mhm.
And then we could add that into the emergency action guide,
Mhm.
those definitions, so that it's very clear for both staff and patrons who want to view that policy to look there. And then that would also help clarify the decision-making process, I think,
Mhm.
moving forward, because it is just so vastly difficult to make that call. Because I have found myself in many a scenario where I've closed when afterwards I was like, man, we should have stayed open today. I've also found myself in the opposite, where I didn't close and it was extremely dangerous to be here. And I ended up here by myself with tornado sirens going around, and that scared me deeply. So it's just impossible. So
Mhm.
getting, like, having the consultation with the president, whomever is in that seat, making that decision together to have the support behind it, and then moving forward. I think in those stickier situations with severe weather, I think we're clearer on that. The cold was like a more rare occurrence. From what I can remember in all 10 years that I've worked here, we've only ever closed one other time for severe cold. So it happens kind of rarely, but the weather has been shifting. We have been getting more severe cold, more severe heat, more severe cold. And what does that look like? What does that mean? Because the other side of it also, do we close in extreme heat when we're a cooling center? And what does that look like? What does that mean? What are the risk factors involved with who's coming to the library? And I'll be perfectly honest, my original intention was to close was because 3 of the 4 staff members who worked that day had 30-plus minute commutes. If I did intend to open, if we had had one other person who lived closer, I did intend to open. And I didn't consider your point there. Like, I don't want to unintentionally practice something that could be considered disparate treatment. I don't want to do that. That was not my intention with that at all. My intention was protection and safety. What if you run out of gas? What if your car breaks down? A few of us have 40 minutes of just country road where if you're stranded, you're in trouble. And I mean, that's a choice. That's a personal choice to live that far away, to work in, like, farther away. So, like, that's risks that you take while having a role like this. So I think it's good to have those conversations. So I don't want to do any disparate treatment at all. I just want to make sure that everybody feels safe and comfortable to come. And if there is a way to have more conversation about that and more considerations and try to figure out maybe like a if this then that scenario, um, then maybe we could figure out something that would work a little bit better for everybody, and make sure that we're open for the community who might need it. So,
Well, and in the past, the rule of thumb has been if the schools close, the library closes.
correct. And I do want to mention the schools did close.
Yes.
And the Sandwich Park District closed also.
And I remember in years past, we talked about that, but then we also recognized that we need to be comparing apples to apples. You know, the schools have different considerations because they have buses running. The park district has preschoolers going there, and so making sure that the different, you know, we're not comparing to a privately owned business or, you know, even though we're all municipal entities, we have different considerations to weigh in as well. And even comparing to other libraries, we take that into consideration, but there are still differences. So yes, the schools used to be a guideline, but then we decided,
used to be.
since
We
I've been on the
changed
board,
that.
that we changed
Yeah,
that.
that's been, that was pretty standard procedure years ago. We changed that, with the very idea that, it isn't necessarily those things that schools take into consideration. We don't have those guidelines. The main thing is buses, kids waiting on the bus stop, that kind of thing. So, so that, you know, we don't really go with the schools anymore, or haven't. I think that, a couple of questions that Jen brings up in terms of number one is the whole warming center. That also struck me as a concern. And the fact that, wasn't quite sure what it meant, you know, for people traveling distance. And I think that that's probably one thing that we all need to, you know, we need to think about in terms of, you know, who do we serve and what are our employees expected to do? Safety is always a concern, but yeah, I was not quite sure, you know, what our thinking was on it. And I believe, you know, when the two of you chat and come to a consensus that, you know, I was okay with that, but then I was thinking about the warming center that was the thing that jumped out to me, was if we were supposed to be a warming center and we weren't open.
So would it be fair to say that one of the things that we could at least do moving forward is get some clarity and definitions of what we mean by warming and cooling center? And have maybe a conversation about that, so we all know what we mean by that. And then also the employees should not be required to travel in unsafe conditions. I think that needs to have some conversation about what do we mean by unsafe conditions. And I mean, possibly even saying to our lawyer, when you have, is there anything that's bad about us taking that into consideration? The distance someone lives from the library, is there risk in mistreating people by that? Are those the two primary things, do we think?
And then maybe the emergency action guide also reflecting that,
Mhm.
because it says for cold advisory,
Mm-hmm.
that we are open with precautions. Extreme cold advisory, open with precautions. So it seems that the not traveling in unsafe conditions was what.
Yeah,
focused on there.
that's what trumped that, I
Yeah.
guess, yeah. So, could we ask Barb to put together some resources on warming and cooling centers that she could share with us next time? And if any of us have thoughts on that, send those to her, send whatever, what you saw, Jen. There's some things I've seen, so send all that to Barb, and then maybe you can compile that and send it out for our next meeting. And then as far as the employees not being required to travel in unsafe conditions, is that something we just need to consider together next month, or does that need to be a personnel conversation? Where do we want that conversation to happen?
Maybe it'll depend on how much personnel has to talk about already in the meeting that's already scheduled.
Well, for next month, but if they can't get to it
Right.
this month, but
If they can't get to it, then we'll discuss it next month. Whoever gets to it first.
I guess I'm asking, where is it most appropriate for it? Where do you want that conversation to happen? Because if we want it to happen in personnel, then if it takes them 2 months, let it take 2 months, and then they'll bring it when they're ready.
I
But if
think
we-
it's worth it to have a personnel, part of a personnel committee. Julie, would you say that to be the case?
Yep.
Mhm.
And as always, any members of the board are welcome to come to that meeting and participate, or to send your thoughts to that committee. Is that satisfactory for everybody?
Could I be notified when that committee?
Yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
think I don't think we wanna, well, here I am jumping in and
Go ahead, please do.
Okay, I don't think it needs, we've got a personnel committee meeting scheduled. I don't wanna it to be on this agenda. I think we've got other things we wanna deal with.
Sure.
I think this is something that needs to be talked about, but because we're entering into, busy personnel right now, I think if we can put this off for a while. Would you agree, Julie?
Yeah, or like schedule a different meeting.
A different meeting,
Yeah,
but not the one upcoming.
sure. Is that agreeable?
Mhm.
Everyone okay with that?
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Personnel Committee. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the conversation. And I'm vamping while I get back to the agenda. Here we go. Next up, we have an action item to approve the unclaimed OCLC holds policy. Would we have a motion to approve this policy?
I move.
Thank you, Heather. Discussions and question about the unclaimed OCLC items policy.
I don't know what that is.
That's okay. Feel free to listen in, and if you have questions as we go along here, then ask. Otherwise, we'll kind of talk through it and see what other board members have to say about it.
What does OCLC stand for?
That's-
It's in the definitions on the policy. It stands for Online Computer Learning Center.
Okay,
It's
Mhm.
essentially a worldwide catalog for library materials. So it's like a shared resource to find materials that you could access from anywhere. So if you wanted something and they had an option in New York, we could apply, contact that library, request them to send it to us, and then our patron could have that book for whatever the timeline is. It's usually 2 to 3 weeks, and then we send it back. However, because it's not part of our consortium's delivery agreement, it costs money to send the titles via postage. And we've had some instances where we've had patrons order them, not pick them up, then we have to send them back. And it's happened multiple times with the same people. So the library's losing money for a service that we're trying to do that normally would be, free for the patrons. So we just wanted to put a policy in place that would provide a standardized procedure for how to handle situations if that service wasn't utilized properly.
Thank you.
My question reading the policy is in the last sentence under the paragraph under unclaimed OCLC items. If the item is not picked up within the communicated time frame, the item will be returned to the lending library and restrictions may be implemented for future requests. Then it says, in the event a patron does not pick up their OCLC request, the following steps will be taken. So in that last sentence, it seems like we're saying something may happen, and then in the next section there, it's saying here's what will happen. Is anyone else seeing that as being kind of redundant or less clear than it could be?
Well,
Oh, I see. I do get it. Like, oh, well, the first time it's not going to be, the restrictions don't come. Yeah.
Wait,
So the first
educate.
the first bullet is upon the first request, there's no restrictions, but if it happens again. So depending on which offense it is, which,
Bless you.
Okay. So in the event a patron does not pick up their LCL servers, the following steps will be taken. The SPLD will pay shipping costs to receive and return OCLC items, whether or not the patron receives the hold upon the first request.
Should that bullet be before that one sentence?
it would mess up the structure of the policy.
what if it said in the event a patron does not pick up the OCLC request, or, this is, it's like, what's it called, Barb? When there's like when there's an employee issue and the first time's a warning. The
Oh,
second
like
time's
a
progression.
performance improvement plan.
Well, yeah, but there's a progression.
Yes.
So this is a progression of steps. The 3 bullets are a progression. The first time, this is what's going to happen. If Matthew's still puzzled, somebody needs to translate this for me.
Okay, now I understand first, second, and then what happens. But if that last sentence on that paragraph is not there, what information, the only information that's missing is that the item will be returned to the lending library. So if you struck that last sentence out, and then it just said, in the event a patron does not pick up their OCLC request, the following steps will be taken. Bullet point 1, the item will be returned to the lending library, period. Then you have your next 3 bullet points as they are.
That was going to be my suggestion too, is we just take out that last sentence.
Okay. We hammered through this policy for 2 or 3 months, or 3 months or 2 months. I don't recall,
Yeah.
something like that. It was, all these first, seconds, not picked up. We moved it around. Looking at that paragraph, then Matthew's statement, if the item is not picked up within the communicated time frame, the item will be returned to the lending library, may be implemented for future requests. That's kind of a description of what's going to happen underneath in the event. Oh. I don't know.
The fact that it says may, it's the word may happen. That's the
Mhm.
key word there.
Yeah, and because then the sentence above the 3 bullet points and the 3 bullet points, those aren't questions about whether that's what will happen. So it's the sentence at the end of that is leaves it open to say maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas we don't intend to maybe. So
Well,
that was just
restrictions may, a restriction, the first bullet point
Mhm.
isn't a restriction,
Mhm.
is not a restriction. It's just a statement.
Mhm. It's what's gonna happen at the first, it doesn't go along with in the event a patron does not pick up their request. It's just the first thing that happens.
Wait, say that again. It's what's not.
This is how the policy meetings went.
Yeah.
I think I understand what we're saying. It is the maybe thing, but I think if we just change that to will be, that solves the problem too. Because if if the item is not picked up within the communicated time frame, the item will be returned to the lending library. Pause. That's already insinuating the first offense, right?
Mhm.
So then if we continue and restrictions may be implemented for future requests, if we change that to restrictions will be implemented for future requests,
Okay, yes.
then that solves that whole problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You,
Yes, that makes that clear. I do think it's still redundant, but I can live with that.
Redundant's better than vague.
Redundant's better than vague. Yep. Because it's just we're saying if the item's not picked up, and then we say in the event a patron does not pick up their OCL's request, why would we not have all of that in the same boop, 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 here's what happens. So that's what I would do, but if no one else is seeing that, that's okay.
I mean, we could technically strip the last
Sentence completely.
3 sentences.
Which 3?
Oh,
Based off of Matt's logic, we could strip from beginning, any shipping costs incurred for the item will be paid by the SPLD.
mm-hmm.
And just add that to the first line in the first bullet point,
Mm-hmm.
and then it follows through.
Mm-hmm. So it would read, the end of the first paragraph would be staff will notify the patron when the item arrives and provide a time frame for pickup. Right? Is that what you're
Sure.
saying?
That's what
And
I'm
then it
saying.
would go to, in the event a patron does not pick up their OCLC request, the following steps will be taken.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and we could add another bullet point at the beginning there that the item will be returned to the lending library.
Okay,
So that says we're not going to keep it here indefinitely when you don't pick it up with the time frame. So when they come back and they say, why'd you send it back? That's our policy, right?
yeah, I think that works. So it would read from underneath unclaimed OCLC items heading, it will read, patrons may request items that are not available in the library's shared consortium. Such items may be requested through OCLC services by submitting the appropriate form to the circulation manager. Staff will notify the patron when the item arrives and provide a time frame for pickup. Pause. In the event a patron does not pick up their OCLC request, the following steps will be taken. Bullet 1, the item will be sent back to the lending library. Bullet 2, the SPLD will pay shipping costs to receive and return OCLC items, whether or not the patron retrieves the hold upon the first request. Any shipping costs incurred for the item will be paid by the SPLD. And then the last 2 bullet points. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that clarifies
Yep.
Yeah.
Jane, your face says otherwise.
I'm just trying to listen and visualize.
Would you like, I can, well,
Mm,
I can't
I
bring me my
mean,
computer
it
sound.
sounded, you know, clear. And like I said, it was all tangled up to begin with. Now I'm trying to clarify it in my mind because I thought we had it straight.
We worked, we worked
Yes,
tirelessly.
came out of that meeting saying, yes,
Yes,
we
Okay,
got it.
I had coffee after that.
Jane.
That's really good.
Jane, well, a lot of you have computers,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna just send you the screenshot of it. Or how it's reading with the edit. So if you want to check it out and see it visually. I just sent it, so
Where do I find it?
in your email. Oh, there's the numbers.
Hello?
I'm supposed to be silenced. How did you do that? How did you make it do that?
Magic.
Give everyone a minute to look at that.
Mhm.
The second bullet, okay. SPLD will pay shipping costs to receive and return the OCLC items, and then we say any shipping costs incurred will be paid by the SPLD, so that's
could-
redundant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, we take that out.
Well, how about any shipping costs and, well, yeah, SPLD will pay shipping costs to receive and return OCLC items, whether or not the patron retrieves the hold upon the first request, period.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
And then the rest looks
Mhm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
I do think we should add the SPLD and the lending library
Mhm.
will pay.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes one pays one and sometimes the other.
Mhm.
Like sometimes we pay both, sometimes the lending library pays for shipping to send it, and then we pay for shipping to send it back. So that way it covers every scenario.
That touches on my second question, which I feel a little afraid to ask now. Did you all consider the idea of if they don't pick it up, it goes as a fine on their account to cover the cost of shipping?
Yeah, that's listed in here.
This said the.
You
third
have to
bullet.
pay,
Oh, on the second one, but I just mean anytime they do it.
We mean anytime we do it.
you mean,
When
The
they,
first time we're paying it, we're saying,
yeah.
fool me
they
once,
will
shame on you.
Right.
whatever.
Transfer shipping costs to the
second.
patron.
But he's saying like, instead of offering the one-time payment, that anytime someone doesn't pick up that whole, the fine for shipping would go on their account. So like, there's no first time, we'll do it for you,
Yeah.
but if you do it a second time, you're
Yeah, it's
fined.
you wasted the library funds. Why would we give you a
pass.
pass? And I just wondered if you
We
talked
don't-
about that.
We did.
Okay, all right.
We talked about it.
At length.
Okay.
We're
really
like-
nice people.
We were like, okay, that's our great.
Because we're trying
Okay.
to give a benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
Like, if there are gonna be scenarios where maybe something happened, maybe they got called into work and they couldn't.
Maybe they had surgery,
know,
maybe
yeah.
they were
You couldn't
sick.
get the- You couldn't get the duck out of
Yeah,
the car.
we-
Yeah, there are things.
And is it just to clarify, is it the same item? If they do this for the same item, or it's just any?
Any,
And is there a plan in place for tracking that?
we keep records of every
Oh,
OCLC
okay,
request.
sure. So Larry will
Larry
be
will
on them
know.
like a hound. Okay, good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see the way you cleaned it up, and I think it is clear.
Good.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna move that we amend the policy to read, I'm just gonna read this one more time. Patrons may request such items that are not available in the library's shared consortium. Such items may be requested through OCLC services by submitting the appropriate form to the circulation manager. Staff will notify the patron when the item arrives and provide a time frame for pickup. In the event a patron does not pick up their OCLC request, the following steps will be taken. The item will be sent back to the lending library. The SPLD will pay the SPLD and how did you have that, Barb? And or the lending library. It's in your notes. You were just working in the policy.
See.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, the one you sent me says the SPLD will pay shipping costs.
Right, I mentioned,
Oh,
We do
So
the
and-
and or
and or.
the SPLD and or the
The
lending
lending
library will pay shipping costs to receive and return OCLC items whether or not the patron receives the hold upon the first request. The SPLD will transfer shipping costs for OCLC items to the patron in the event that the requested item was not retrieved within the designated timeframe upon the second request. Patrons who do not pick up OCLC items on 2 consecutive occasions must wait 6 months before the SPLD will honor any additional OCLC requests. All those in favor of that amendment, say aye. Aye. Okay, any further discussion? Let's see. We have a motion before us now to approve as amended. Heather made the motion, right? So we do have the motion. Okay, let's do roll call because it's policy. Jen? Heather? Jane?
aye.
Julie? Amy?
Aye.
And Matthew? I say aye. All right.
This is great news.
Oh, dear. Okay.
We can breathe, policy committee.
Mhm.
Till the next one.
Till the next one.
Okay, I'm gonna move us through our committee reports. Anything from building and grounds?
No.
Anything from finance?
Nope.
Anything from personnel?
No.
Anything from policy?
We just did it.
Yep, good. Okay, upcoming then, our general meeting of the Library Board of Trustees will be on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. We will have a policy committee meeting date to be determined. We'll have a building and grounds committee meeting date to be determined. And the personnel committee meeting is set for
Monday,
It's Monday.
Monday,
February 16th,
February 16th at
1:00.
1 p.m.
Thanks, Julie.
Do you have a motion to adjourn at 7:26 p.m.?
I move.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
All right, who said who wanted the motion? Who's?
Jen.